God be with you.
And with you.
Let's light our candles for today. We've got an extra candle. Better put that one over one side. We only need 3, don't we? There we go. Okay. In the name of the Father. Thank you. And of the Son. Thank you. And of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen. So as you all know, this term we're thinking about responsibility. And last week, I hope you remembered that we thought about the wicked servant. And that was all very dramatic, wasn't it? The 2 different ways he could have chosen to live, and about how important it is for us to keep our promises. Well, today we're going to think about a different aspect of responsibility. We're going to think about our responsibility to share and to be generous with what we have. I wonder if you can imagine how different the world would be if everyone took that responsibility to share really seriously. I think the world would probably be quite a different place. It'd probably look quite different. So this story is a story about a boy who had a packed lunch. And in his packed lunch, he had 5 small loaves of bread. We've got crumpets because they're about the right size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 2 little fish. We didn't have any fish that weren't in tins, so we've brought 2 tins of tuna. Okay. Now I think for a small boy, that is a pretty generous lunch. Do you think could you even eat that?
I think I couldn't eat it all. That's a pretty nice lunch. I wouldn't eat all those crumpets.
I think, no, 5 crumpets is just too many, isn't it?
2 maybe.
Yeah,
5.
absolutely. I wonder if when his mum packed him it, she was thinking, well, or maybe she even told him, if there's anybody there who doesn't have any lunch, you should share it with them.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think she probably was that sort of person.
That sort of person, yeah.
So there's 3 of us today, so how should we divide it between us? So if you have a crumpet and you have a crumpet and I'll have a crumpet and you have another one and you can have the other one. I'll have a slightly smaller lunch today. And then 2, so maybe I have a tin of tuna.
And I'll have a tin of tuna maybe.
Okay, so it hasn't worked out exactly.
Or we can have half.
Yeah, we'd have to, if we opened it, we could split them all between us much more easily, couldn't we?
Yeah.
You want to look after it for now?
I'll look after
you can look after mine for now if you want. There we go. What if there were 4 of us? How would we split it?
So 1, 2.
Yeah. 3, 4.
And then
spare one for the hungriest person.
Yeah.
And
then
half
share
a tin.
half a tin of tuna.
Okay.
Like half a tin of
What
tuna.
if there were 10 of us sharing it?
That's interesting. I have half a crumpet each.
So the half crumpet each.
And half a crumpet each. And I'm trying to use my mouse. A 5th tin of
Very
tuna.
good, well done. So a 5th of a tin of tuna. Now, by the time you got to 10 of us, is that starting to look as? Do you think that would fill you up?
I think
half
I'd
a
be
crumpet
pretty
and a
hungry.
5th of a tin of tuna.
No.
I think you probably would, wouldn't you? Let's put all the food back in here for now.
I'm so hungry.
We're going to hear what happens if you share that amount of food with 5,000 people now.
How are we
and
going
I'll
to do
be
this?
interested to hear what you think about this story. This is the story called Jesus Feeds the Crowd. All day in the hot sun, thousands of people sat and listened to Jesus talk about God's dream. They were so hungry to know God, they were sort of like hungry in their souls, in their hearts, that they forgot to eat lunch. And when the sun started to go down, Philip said, "Master, it's late and the people are hungry. You should send them home." "Why send them home?" said Jesus. "You feed them." "Feed them?" Philip said. "We don't have any food." "Someone has something to share," Jesus answered. A little boy had come forward and he'd offered to share his 5 small loaves of bread and 2 tiny fish. Philip threw his arms up in the air. That's not enough for all these people. Ask the people to sit down, Jesus said. He took the bread in his hands, looked up to heaven, and blessed it. And he did the same with the fish. Then he told the disciples to hand out the food. They were amazed. There was more than enough for everyone. When all the people had finished eating, the disciples filled 12 baskets with the food that was left behind.
Wow, and we only have
We
one
haven't
basket
got-
of food.
Yeah, absolutely. With God's love, 5 loaves and 2 small fish fed more than 5,000 people. So what do you think about that story?
How does that work? It's a
Nobody
miracle
knows.
multiply or something.
That's right.
What?
Well, it's called a miracle, and a miracle is something that we can't explain.
So basically, they had a tiny bit of food each, but somehow there was still
Maybe,
loads left.
that's right. So it could be that this miracle happened when Jesus prayed over the food.
Yeah. Or maybe it was when the boy gave it.
Maybe it was because the boy has
generosity.
showed his generosity. Maybe, and this is just as much of a miracle, when everybody else saw how generous the boy had been, that they thought, oh, actually, I was going to save it till later, but I've got some food I could share too. Maybe the miracle was that everybody chose to share. And nobody really knows.
No one knows.
But we do know that it was some kind of miracle and that it all started with sharing. I wonder if you can think of a way that you might make a difference by sharing. How easy do you find it to share? Is it easy to share?
Not usually.
Not
It
always.
depends
no.
what I'm sharing. If the thing I'm sharing I really care about, then that feels a lot
Yeah.
harder. But if I
But
don't care about it,
if it's like you
Yeah.
never use it,
Yeah,
but you kind of want to keep it, that sometimes happens as well.
it's true. It
Like,
is.
I had a pair of trousers and they had a massive hole in them, and I really didn't want to throw them away.
There you go. Sometimes we like to hang on to things, don't we? But
yeah.
this story shows the power of sharing. When the boy shared his lunch, amazing things happened. And God can use every little generous thing that we do to make a difference in the world. I'm going to say a prayer now, and if you'd like it to be your prayer, then you can say Amen at the end. Dear God, we don't always like to share. We prefer to keep things to ourselves. But you are a generous God, and you ask us to be generous too. Help us to notice when we can make things better by sharing. Amen.
Amen.
God go with you.
And with you.